And we're going to start with a talk about how to integrate Web3 with ease, the tools you need for seamless player experiences. So a round of applause, please, for Michael Sanders from Horizon. So come on up, Michael. There you go. And I think you should have everything you need. There's a clicker there.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, everyone. My name is Michael Sanders. I'm co-founder at Horizon, and we're the creators of Skyweaver, which was named 2022's Best Blockchain Game, and Sequence, which is an all-in-one developer platform and smart wallet that makes building Web3 games and experiences easy. Today, I'm going to talk about the technical challenges of integrating Web3 and how you can overcome them to get to market faster and deliver an amazing experience to your players. We started building Skyweaver nearly 6 years ago, and it was really important to us to make the game accessible to anyone with the desire to play, regardless of how much they knew about crypto or blockchain. Today, it's in open beta with hundreds of thousands of players, a passionate community, streamers around the world, and a healthy competitive scene. And as I mentioned, it was named 2022's Best Blockchain Game. In fact, we have professional Hearthstone, Pokemon, and Magic the Gathering players who tell us we have the ingredients for what could become the greatest trading card game ever. So we're working very hard to realize Skyweaver's potential. We've taken a thoughtful and novel approach to game design and a patient, innovative, and sustainable approach to economy design that we continue to evolve. Most of Skyweaver's players had never had a Web3 or crypto experience prior to playing the game. But in order to build a Web3 game that's accessible to anyone, we had to overcome a ton of blockchain infrastructure and user experience pain points. So now I'll dive into what those technical challenges we faced were, how we solved them, and how you can do the same to deliver an amazing experience to your players and get to market quickly. Over the years, we identified 7 major hurdles to building a seamless Web3 experience. And these range from wallet creation and onboarding, to payments and gas fees, to working with and displaying blockchain data, to integrating digital collectibles and enabling the seamless trade of those collectibles. And lastly, you need to think about what network will you deploy your game on. As a spoiler, we solved all of these challenges and we productized our solutions into Sequence, which is the all-in-one developer platform and smart wallet to help you build these Web3 games. So to dive into each of the challenges individually, let's start with wallet creation, which really has been brutal up until very recently. Players have had to figure out what seed phrases are, download extensions, and try to understand what a wallet even is when they're just trying to play a game. It's a ton of friction and it drives people out of your ecosystem. So to solve this issue, we have created the Sequence Smart Contract Wallet, also known as Account Abstraction Wallet, which means your players can sign in with social, email, or your existing authentication system, so that in 1 or 2 clicks, your players have a seamless, secure, and robust wallet that connects them to your game and to Web3. Sequence offers a variety of wallet solutions depending on your needs. We have a universal wallet, application-specific wallets, and wallet as a service, which range from non-custodial and self-custodial to semi-custodial. So if you don't know what solution you need, that's totally cool. Just come talk to us. We can help you figure out what will work for your game and community. What I simply want to impress upon you is that you can deliver your players a seamless onboarding experience into Web3 with the Sequence wallet solutions. Okay, now that we've taken care of the wallet and the initial onboarding, let's talk about gas fees. For those of you that have interacted with a blockchain, you may have noticed that anytime you transact or push data to the network, there's a gas fee associated with it. And someone needs to pay that gas fee, and it's denominated in a crypto token such as Ether, Matic, or AVAX. The problem with this is that for users who are new to Web3, they don't own any of these tokens, so they couldn't pay the gas fee even if they wanted to. If we take Skyweaver as an example, imagine a new player comes into the game and they want to trade a card in the marketplace. But in order to do so, there's a 1 cent fee denominated in the Matic token. Well, this player doesn't have Matic. Now they have to figure out what it is, how to go acquire it. It's just a really bad user experience, especially for a cost of only 1 cent. To solve this issue, we've created something called a transaction relayer. This allows you as a game developer to sponsor transactions on behalf of your users so that they never need to think about or pay for gas. It really enables seamless onboarding with these gasless transactions and welcomes more money and purchasing power into your ecosystem. Plus, if you've ever wondered about throughput or scalability when it comes to the blockchain, the sequence relayer actually allows you to batch and parallelize transactions so that you can send thousands at once and pay only one small fee. Essentially, we've made Web3 transactions as easy as Web2. Now that we've taken care of transactions and gas, what about players being able to buy your game items easily in the first place? This has been a challenging problem to solve because the typical solution is that players need to own crypto in order to buy your NFT or digital collectible. But as we talked about earlier, most of these players don't own crypto, or at least they don't have it handy when they come to your game. So to solve this issue, we've embedded checkouts and on-ramps right into the Sequence wallet so that your players can buy collectibles and NFTs directly with credit or debit card. You can even allow them to purchase crypto directly with credit or debit if you'd like. So essentially, we've made the purchasing experience as familiar and intuitive as a Web2 shopping experience, and your players don't need to learn about any new technologies. Now that your players can own these and buy these in-game items, what about displaying them? So, of course, you want to be able to display player inventories in real time to your users so that they know what they own. But this requires that you query the blockchain and you need to do it in real time, which is challenging due to things like chain reorganizations and finality thresholds. So we needed to figure out a way to enable this that wasn't too computationally intense. And we invested a number of years into solving this, and what we came up with is the Sequence Indexer. And this allows you to quickly and easily query all blockchain, token, and NFT data and serve it to your users in real time so that they know exactly the items they own, what they can play with, and what they can trade. Plus, Sequence ensures that your game is always up and running. Now, every game that leverages Web3 will need to interact with a node in some manner. But the issue with nodes is that on occasion they go down, and when they do, your game goes down as well for both you and your players, which is definitely not what you want. So to solve this issue, we created something called the Sequence Node Gateway, which aggregates various node providers, and in the event that one of them goes down, it automatically switches to another node to ensure that your game is always up and running. Okay, now we've taken care of blockchain data and ensuring your game's always up and running. Let's have a conversation about tokens. Now, I'm guessing everyone in this room has heard of NFTs, in other words, non-fungible tokens, which means that each and every item is totally unique from all others. Now, NFTs are awesome for things like original artworks, avatars, or unique pieces of real estate. But they're actually not that well suited for most video game items. Because if you think of most video game items, they have multiple copies, like trading cards, skins, weapons, farming tools, all kinds of materials. They all have multiple copies. And the NFT standard does not allow for this in an intuitive or really scalable manner. So to solve this issue, we created the ERC 1155 semi-fungible token standard, i.e. SFTs. Now, SFTs allow you to have multiple copies of a game item, and we needed to do this for our game, Skyweaver. So in the top left there's a volcanic blast card from Skyweaver, and we needed to have an arbitrary number of copies, let's say 10,000. So you can do that with the SFT standard, and in fact, a lot of Web3 games now have adopted this standard, and you can use it too. It's free, it's open source, and it'll allow you to, whether you want to create millions of copies of an item, or even if you want to create a unique one of one, you can actually leverage this standard as well, and it'll make your transactions more efficient. Another great thing about SFTs is that you can actually have liquidity for them, which means that market formation and price discovery becomes easier, which in effect means that trading becomes easier. It makes it easier for your players to trade the game items, which brings us to the next point around marketplaces. So the default solution in Web3 to date has been to drive players to a third-party marketplace to trade your game items. This is unfortunate for a couple of reasons. First, you've invested all of this time and energy into bringing players into your game in the first place, and now you're going to send them to a third party where you don't control the user experience. Secondly, players might feel sketched out by this. They don't understand the third party. It looks totally different. They don't understand what connect a wallet means. It's just a ton of friction, and it can feel untrustworthy. So we've built a better way. By having an in-game marketplace, you can tailor the experience for your users and keep players within your ecosystem. we created something called a marketplace engine that makes trading instant, easy, and secure for your players. So you get to deliver them a seamless trading experience, and at the same time, you can earn transaction fees, royalty fees from the trades, from the economic activity that occurs in your ecosystem. This is exactly what we do in our game, Skyweaver. So this front end is as easy to navigate as the best Web 2 shopping experience, and yet it's equipped with Web 3 superpowers and digital collectibles. And you can do the same. You can build your custom branded Web 3 collectibles marketplace by leveraging our no-code white label solution, and you can tailor it so that it's perfect for you and your gamers. Okay, now that we've taken care of wallet creation and onboarding, payments and gas fees, buying game items in the first place, working with the blockchain data, and ensuring that your application is always up and running. We've discussed tokens and how to enable the seamless trade of those tokens with a marketplace. As a final technical consideration, let's talk about picking a network, which we know can seem like a daunting task because there are so many chains out there, and yeah, they're making a lot of noise, some of them anyway. But to make your life easier, choose an EVM compatible chain. EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine, and it's the underlying architecture that the chains leverage. So if you think of networks like Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, Binance, Avalanche, Immutable ZK EVM, Oasis, and many, many others, they all are EVM compatible, which means if you choose one of these networks and something were to happen to that network, you can relatively easily port over to another EVM compatible network. Now, this protects you against the vendor lock-in that exists with a non-EVM chain. If you're on a non-EVM chain and it goes down, then you're kind of stuck, or at least it's going to cost you a lot of time and energy to re-architect and port over, at which point you're probably going to choose an EVM chain. So you might as well just skip that step and start with EVM. Plus, EVM, it's the most mature ecosystem, most number of users, applications, developer, most liquidity as well. So it's just a really robust ecosystem. And the good news for you is that Sequence is compatible with all of the EVM compatible networks, which gives you optionality and peace of mind while making it easier to build on these networks. Here's a look at the entire Sequence stack. So you as a game dev, you can use it as an all-in-one solution, or it's modular. So you can pick and choose specific tools that are right for you. And they play nicely with other Web3 tools as well. They're all standards compatible. We're obsessed with and incredibly passionate about building the best developer experience and solving for the blockchain infrastructure and user experience pain points, whether it's onboarding and playing to buying and trading, and whether you're building on mobile, web, Unity, or Unreal Engine. Plus, all the tools, they come together nicely in our builder, which is a no-code dashboard to launch and manage Web3 games and projects, empowering both non-technical and technical teammates with this entire suite of tools. So that you, as game developers, you don't need to think about or worry about Web3 technology. Instead, you get to focus simply on making amazing content and a great gaming experience for your players. Yeah, so we currently have about 70 amazing projects that leverage Sequence for their Web3 experience. And this ranges from some of the leading Web3 video games and game publishers to Magic Eden, which is a leading digital collectibles marketplace that uses Sequence, in addition to consumer brands and professional sports teams that leverage Sequence for things like loyalty programs and gamified experiences to deepen engagement with their users. These projects range from startups to some of the largest gaming, tech, and consumer companies. So if you're building a Web3 experience or looking to integrate Web3 into an existing or new game, we'd absolutely love to help you solve all the Web3 issues so that you don't have to think about them and allow you to get to market faster to deliver this amazing game or experience to your players. You can visit sequence.xyz to learn more. You can join our Discord community, chat with the community, speak with product experts and devs. Yeah, we'd absolutely love to help you. So thank you for your time. And it looks like I have a few minutes in case there are any questions from the audience.
We've got a few minutes, we've got about 5 minutes. So if there are any questions from the audience, we can run a mic to you. There's one over here, actually. I've got a couple of my own, but someone got in there first. Thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation. I'm kind of curious, I'm very new to Web3, but like, what do you think the pitch is for why someone would choose to build a Web3 game versus just a traditional mobile game?
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons. I think the transition to Web3 is analogous to the move from single player games to multiplayer games. It's just opening up an entirely new dimension of games. It's a new paradigm. And if we think, so I think there's kind of three categories with which you can look at why to build a Web3 game. And they, a lot of it revolves around items. There's also this notion of user-generated content in addition to the game design possibilities that it opens up. So if we think about items in the first place, right? Like, why do players buy items in Web2 games? I think it's for three reasons. It's for utility, status, or the pleasure of collecting. Now, if you add Web3 into the mix, players will still buy for these same three reasons in addition to at least five more. So there can be value associated with the game item, resaleability, and not necessarily for profit, right? Like, I don't think that's the goal. It's just more about ownership. So if you buy something, you get tired of it, you can sell it later and just recoup some of your costs, right? Like, you truly own it. There's this notion of cross-brand and cross-game interoperability that really adds value to players. So if you may have seen like Nike and EA or Nike and Fortnite, or just imagine like NBA 2K, right? Like, if you could have Web3 digital shoes in the game, and imagine they're Adidas shoes, right? And then like Adidas, the brand, could look at the blockchain and see like, oh, all these players own Adidas digital kicks. So we're going to gift them, airdrop them something. And maybe it's like a glowing version of those Adidas shoes, or maybe it's a voucher for physical merchandise in the real world. So that interoperability is a cool thing. There's also this notion of persistence, right? Like, if you own a Web3 game item, it's going to exist forever, and other folks can build experiences around it or add value or utility to it. Like, you could create lending systems or build a new game around those items, and folks who own them could bring them to that game. In addition to like collection history and universal profiles that you can actually bring and potentially display in various virtual worlds. So I think that's around the item front. And then if we look at UGC, user-generated content, I think there's a ton of opportunities here. So like, imagine, I'll just use Skyweaver as an example. So it's a trading card game. We could allow the community to actually create some cosmetic items, and maybe there's a community vote as to which items like get into the game. And then those items could actually be for sale in the Skyweaver market. And then every time that one sells, a royalty could go to the creator of the item, and perhaps a transaction fee goes to Skyweaver as well. So it really creates win-win. The game is getting more content and not needing to make it themselves, and then it's supporting creators and they're monetizing that. So I think that's really cool. And then, in terms of like game design possibilities, I think it's really limitless, and like we're just starting to scratch the surface. I think, like, just as an example, like imagine, imagine you're playing a game and there are factions. Like, maybe there's like 5 different factions created all competing against one another, and they're determined by what items you own. Like, maybe there's 5 categories of items, let's say. Or maybe, if you own a particular Web3 item, you unlock new DLC, new downloadable content. Or, like you're playing a game and maybe there's a mechanic around the trading of that item. So let's say like you're a spy and you're going into, you got to have some like, fancy dinner or whatever, and you need a brand new suit, right? But then later on, you need to like walk through the streets and like get into a sketchy area. So you need to have a more tattered suit so that you blend in. Like, maybe there's a trading mechanic that if you trade it 3 times, your suit evolves from like this dope suit to like all beat up, right? So you can blend in. And I mean, those are just like some super high level examples. And I'm also not the greatest game designer or anything, so I'm sure that we're gonna uncover just a ton in the coming years. So yeah, I think there's tons of reasons, and honestly, like, I think there's way more than I'm even able to articulate or think of at the moment.
That's a great question. And in about half an hour's time, we're going to be on a panel in here talking about some of these exact things, aren't we? I think. So you'll get some more of that from some other perspectives too. But that's great, a really comprehensive answer there as well. And yeah, it solves a lot of problems particularly around trading, which was happening anyway, right, in Web2 games, people trying to swap items, and it solves some problem there. Do we have, we maybe got time for another question? One at the back, perfect, thank you. The one at the front, back and front, we'll try and get both in.
I've been closely like watching like the development of like Web3 in general and just blockchain technologies. And I was just wondering to get another perspective, what is like Web3 to you, and like what do you like? Just what is Web3 to you? Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think Web3 means that you're leveraging the blockchain in some manner, and you're enabling the decentralized ownership of items. And Web3, of course, extends beyond just gaming. But what I think it really enables is more symbiotic ecosystems where both users and creators share in the value of the networks and the applications and the experiences that they participate in.
Thank you. Great. I think what we'll do is we'll take one more question. We've got a mic at the back.
Hi. First of all, I'm a huge fan of Sky River. I applied for the beta, but not there yet. My main question is regarding how you guys are trying to avoid the pitfall that 90% of the blockchain games or NFT games fail to, like pay first and play later. How Sky River is dealing with this aspect?
Yeah, so Skyweaver is a free-to-play game. So you don't need to buy anything to it. Like you can actually just grind and level up and earn cards they're called base cards, and they're not on the blockchain. They're not tradable. But then if you want like the cosmetic benefits of silver and gold cards or like hero skins, you can buy those and they're tradable, or you can actually win them through competitive gameplay. So it's skill based, which helps protect against botting and like unsustainable economies and just infinite printing of currency. We also don't have like a fungible token, like a currency in the game, because, well, I just think no one has cracked the code yet on that. There's also like regulatory concerns around it, and it's just, it's hard to build like an economy. It's kind of like building a nation's economy, and so a lot of considerations need to go into it. But yeah, to your point, I think we've really seen thus far like the first generation of Web3 games, and a lot of them have really had to concern themselves with the technology itself, which has eaten up a lot of their time. Whereas now we're entering this generation 2 where the tooling, the technology can be taken care of by things such as Sequence and other developer platforms and tools, so that game makers can just focus on like actually making amazing content.
Great, thank you. Well, look, we have to move on, but Michael will be back on stage in a few minutes, actually. So a round of applause there, and we'll get you back in for the panel shortly.